A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. While Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. And on the third day he will be raised." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked a favour of him. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Declare that these 2 sons of mine will sit, one at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left, this is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard it, they were angry with the brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many."
Thank heavens, the end of this lockdown is in sight. It's been a rough time for us all, but I think our school leavers and the newly graduated young are having a particularly tough time. Life for them is so very uncertain. They cannot decide in which direction they can go. Jobs are scarce. There's no certainty when the job market will reopen. I expect that they all have the ambition to do something really worthwhile with their lives. But how can they start? There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. It is often the driving force for a very successful career. When Richard Branson was leaving school, his head is reputed to have said to him, "Well, Richard, I don't know in which direction your life will go. Either you will make an enormous amount of money, or you will spend many years in prison. I don't know which." Well, we know how that is working out. If we look at the founders of those 2 tech giants, Amazon and Microsoft, as young men, they obviously were both very ambitious. They have been successful, and they've made enormous amounts of money. But how have they used these riches? The one is hoarding his wealth, the other is pouring his riches into every good cause that he can find. Such are the varieties of human nature. But let's look at our gospel reading for today. Here we see the naked ambition of James and John. In Matthew's gospel, we are told that his mother pleaded for them. In Mark's gospel, we are told that they too asked for themselves. Doesn't matter which is right. The fact is that they were both ambitious for their own future. We know that at all times Jesus was teaching his little band. And one of the things that his teaching focused on was his return to Jerusalem, teaching them what would happen when they got there. Really, what Jesus was teaching his disciples and showing us is the length to which he would give of himself to those he loves, you and me. He is prepared to give his own life for us. That is unselfish sacrifice, unselfish service. In our gospel reading, it's obvious that the disciples, in spite of all that Jesus had told them, did not understand what was meant by his rising again. Did they think it meant the realization of physical power? They were simple men, steeped in the Jewish tradition of the coming of the Messiah. This teaching was that the Messiah would come as a conquering king, leading an army which would sweep all before it and lead the Jews to be the rulers of the world. The disciples still thought that was the direction in which Jesus was leading them. But such was their belief, their trust in Jesus, that they thought he would succeed, and that the long-expected earthly kingdom would come. Hence their request for the top job. Where did those disciples go so tragically wrong in their thinking? They loved and believed in Jesus to such an extent that they would go anywhere or do anything that he asked. They even said that they would follow him, even if it led to death. Sadly, they misunderstood totally what Jesus stood for. They saw in Jesus a wonderful leader. As in all walks of life, a good leader is not concerned with his own pomp and glory, but is carefully to consider those he leads. A great leader not only considers those he leads, but also serves them by the way he looks after them. Such was the leadership shown by Jesus. In fact, in due course, the ambition of James and John was fully fulfilled. They became great leaders of the early Christian church. But how do we Christians see Jesus as our leader? Do we follow the example which he gave us of service to those around us? Or do we think that we are the masters of our own destiny, something which may well lead to our own downfall? It's only by giving up ourselves, of serving those around us, that we can fulfill our duty as followers of Christ. But what do we mean by service? It's all the little things in life. Keeping an eye on the lonely, looking after our neighbours by doing such things as their shopping in these difficult times, having consideration for those less fortunate than ourselves. Not me first, but others first. That is the example that Jesus has set for us. I know that in our busy lives it's a hard task, and we may have difficulty meeting this example, but we will never achieve the perfection of Jesus. But how far can we go to meet this expectation? It's only with God's help that we can travel this journey, to win the great prize of a satisfying life in this world and a place in the next, something which is the promise which has been made to all true believers in the risen Lord. That is something that we should all think and pray about this Lent. That is our challenge. Amen.